the weekly show with David J. Maloney. This week, David chats with David Paich of Toto. And now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
On tonight's show, we've got the second part of my interview with David Paich of Toto. With such hits as Hold the Line, Rosanna, and Africa, and so many credits in between, David has had a part in playing, singing, producing, or doing session work on many of the most popular songs of his era. Back again with us tonight to chat about his incredible career is the founding member of Toto, David Paich. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I'm sure you've talked ad nauseum about working on the Thriller album with Michael Jackson, so I'm not going to delve too deeply into it. But I would like to know, though, at that time in the studio, did you feel like you were possibly working on one of the biggest albums of all time? I mean, an album that would sell probably more copies than any other album.
We knew it was a good album and it would probably do pretty well, but we had no idea to the extent that it was going to sell 40 million. And now today, I think 70 million records to date. And, we all knew that it had this energy and it had great songs from Rod Temperton, and every great musician in the world was on it. And Quincy Jones was running the show with Michael. So we knew it was top to bottom. It was going to be great production. And I want to say that my band performed brilliantly on it. They played on Human Nature. That's really the band playing. And also the band on Beat It, which is Steve Lukather on bass, guitar, and guitar, rhythm guitar, as long with Jeff Porcaro. So I definitely feel we made our mark on the Thriller album, and it's a feather in our cap.
I think I saw where your dad actually got to eventually meet Michael Jackson with you. What was that kind of experience like?
That was the meeting of two professionals, two minds. You know, Michael's a great artist, and my father's a great arranger, conductor who knows everybody from Sarah Vaughan to Ella Fitzgerald to even Barbra Streisand. My dad arranged and produced The Way We Were for Barbra Streisand.
Oh, wow.
So he knew how to coddle Michael and extract the best music out of him. So it was a great relationship. They loved each other.
Obviously, having walked through much of your biography, you've got more music history, knowledge, and know-how than most people could ever hope to achieve. And now you're putting out your first solo album, Forgotten Toys. Where did the album name come from? I'm kind of thinking like Billy Joel had songs in the attic. Is it that kind of thing?
It was kind of thing where I heard that I had a title, Broken Toys, at one time. And I was going to name a song that at first, and that didn't work out. So I decided, well, if I ever do a solo album, I'll name it Broken Toys. But then just as we got into it and started listening to the material, my wife mentioned, she goes, that's kind of negative, and those songs they're not broken songs, they're just forgotten songs. She goes, you should call the album Forgotten Toys. So I immediately just hit me like a bullet in the forehead, boom, that we should change the name to that. And so I blame it all on her.
Now, after all these years of doing everything else, you're just putting out your first solo album. What was the impetus that triggered you to finally do this?
A combination of things. I think that my colleagues, Steve Lukather and Joe Williams, were both making solo records because Toto was on a kind of a sabbatical and wasn't making music, recording anyway at that time. And so they were working on their albums, and I helped them with their albums. And Joe and Luke said, they pushed me and nudged me and said, you need to do a solo record and get some of these other odds and ends that you've been playing us for years, get them out and write some words and lyrics to them, write some lyrics and melodies to them. So I got with Joe Williams, who co-produced the record with me, and he helped me start laying the blueprints down. And it just became fun to work on every day. And I did it during the COVID pandemic, which is still out there now, but it was during the intense 2-year period there,
What excited you the most about making this record in particular?
I think hearing the credible musicians come in and add their energy to it, add their live playing. After you kind of make a blueprint demo that's just a skeleton of what you want, so the musicians can play to it. After, when they actually play on it, you see why people hire these premier musicians, because of their contributions to music, and how they you don't have to produce them, they produce themselves.
And you've got a literal who's who of co-creators on the record. Did you feel kind of like a mastermind putting together like the A-Team on this?
No, I just felt like my normal self, using my Rolodex. Of course, people don't know what a Rolodex is anymore, but my
your contact list and your iPhone.
My Canuck list. Right. I just called. These are all my friends, and most of them called me when they found out I was doing a solo record and asked if they could be on the record. So I obliged a few of them, and a couple others I called myself and convinced them they needed to do this record. And so it was a combination, but they were all friends and all willing to just help when they whatever I needed. Same with Don Felder, ex-Eagle guitarist, Hotel California. He played great slide guitar on Queen Charade. And Mike McDonald sang on Spirit of the Moonrise. And, Nathan East is playing, Lukather's playing. It's a one big happy family.
There was a point in time where Michael McDonald, I think, was like in almost every song on the radio.
I know.
You'd hear him backing like Christopher Cross and like everybody.
No, I still listen to him. I think he still is. I really do,
I know each song on the album has kind of a different origin story. Do any of these songs have an origin story from your time in Toto?
No, not really. Toto has been making records, and I had some of these pieces lying around, but I didn't have these songs around except for Lucy. I had that instrumental around for several years longer than the rest of the stuff, because I'd been working on an instrumental album with another great session player named Mike Lang, who just recently passed away. And him and I were going to put out a duet album of some stuff. Well, we never got that far, but I salvaged the song Lucy because I thought it was demonstrative of my collaboration again with another fellow teammate and making music. And I thought it was worthy of being on my EP.
One of the songs that really stuck out to me was All the Tears That Shine, which was done with your friends Michael and Billy Sherwood of Yes. What does that song mean to you, and how did it come about?
That song, it came about on the day we finished the Falling in Between record back in 2005, I think it was. I started writing again. I always do that the day we finish an album. I realize what I could have done, and I start writing for a new album. So I started writing the opening verse to All the Tears That Shine. And eventually I got back to it. And the song has to do with closure, I think, in a relationship. And I called Michael Sherwood in because him and we kind of finish each other's sentences. And I have history with him, and he's very shorthand, a lot of shorthand involved when I write with him. And plus, he's such an incredible sounding voice that that was the demo that we did. His vocal was anyway on it. So I just wanted to preserve that and honor him by putting that version out so people could hear what it sounded like when we conceived the song.
Your daughter has a credit and sings on First Time. How did she get involved? I understand she sort of did it on her own, no?
She did. I was working on that song, and she snuck in the studio with my engineer and put it up and put her vocal on it. Said, I did an overdub on your thing. And I was kind of in shock. What do you mean you're working on my solo record without me in there? How dare you? And then I just laughed, and I heard her part, and it melted my heart. So I just loved it. It was kind of a present to me, a gift to me about a song that I wrote about myself and her, mainly about her.
What was the most challenging aspect of making this record from a creative standpoint? I mean, was there a particular song that stumped you for a little bit, or did it all just kind of fall into place?
It was all kind of fell into place. It was all challenging because the challenge is when us professional musicians are working. A lot of times we work without being in a room full of musicians. A lot of time it's overdubbing singly. And the best musicians, the key to doing really good music is to make it sound like you're all in the room together. And that's the key. That's why I hire or ask favors of all my friends that bring this to the table. So I think that was the most challenging thing, is in making sure that everything felt connected and live and played spontaneously, and I think it pretty much achieved that.
For those who want to get a real taste of the record, what song or songs would you point them to specifically?
I'd say Will I Belong to You, Queen Charade, and Lucy are probably my top three.
Well, I know we're going to feature Will Belong to You later in the show. Can you tell us a little bit about that song and what it means to you?
Yeah, that song kind of takes me back to my days of listening to when I was used to listen to Simon and Garfunkel a lot, and a lot of Paul McCartney solo record stuff. And I like this kind of serendipitous kind of folk guitar kind of thing in the verses that I came up with, and some lyrics, but still it was a conflicted relationship where he gets, in his own mind, he's got the girl, but she doesn't understand. She's not aware of it. So it's a little bit of a paradox. And Joseph had the chorus written. So I said, immediately, as soon as I heard that chorus, I said, I need to write the rest of the song here. So I wrote the verses, and then him and I connected the verses with instrumental fabric. It just turned out, I thought it turned out very special.
No, it's a great album overall. And I know Toto will be touring in early 2023 and getting kind of close to us here on the Gulf Coast when in Louisiana in February. Are you or Toto playing any gigs before then?
Not really, not that I know of, but Toto's going to be filling in dates around the Journey date. So there may be some closer things than are on the calendar right now for Toto, just solo Toto act.
Because a lot of times when you guys tour, you have kind of an initial skeleton to this tour. And then as you're doing venues, you add venues along the way, right? That makes sense to fill the gaps.
That's going to be happening right just now that with the Journey dates are set. They'll fill in dates around those counties and stuff.
Now, I know Steve has or had been doing some gigs as part of Ringo Starr's All-Star Band, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, and he performs, actually they perform Rosanna, and they perform Hold the Line live still with that. So, which I'm ecstatic about the fact that Ringo Drums plays drums on those two songs. Okay, that's like a pinch me moment right there.
Yeah.
And
really
Lukather's, he's the band. I mean, he's the driving force behind that band. That's what Jim Keltner says. Jim should know. And it's a great band, and it's a great show. I highly recommend it if you get a chance to see it.
I've seen them a couple of times, one in an indoor venue, one in an outdoor venue, both fantastic. And the way that they put people together, I know.
It's not boring. It's like seeing 6 different artists,
Oh yeah. I mean, you get to see like Todd Rundgren and, I mean, it changes periodically. It's not always the same, but I mean, for a while it was Todd Rundgren and I think Colin Hay from Men at Work.
They have Colin Hay now, and they have Edgar Winter, and they have Hamish Stewart from Average White Band.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's
Richard Page, which was really great.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
It really is cool.
That's why I grabbed Greg Bissonette from that band to play drums on 2 of the records.
Do you have anything else coming up or projects in the works, or are you going to be taking a little break before this upcoming Toto tour?
I'm currently involved in helping the Eastman School of Music back in New York. They're archiving my father's arrangements, and they're using them for curriculum back there as a class to teach. And they're starting a vocal department. So I just had about a dozen arrangements scanned for vocalist and string orchestra and sent them back to Rochester School of Music because they're going to perform them and record them and start doing classes with these arrangements. So it's a little bit of, you know, a little bit of altruism involved in my life right now. And I like to think of it anyway. And helping the undergraduates come up, helping the guy behind you stand on your shoulders, you know, so they can keep jazz alive, you know.
And where can people go to follow you and Toto on various social media platforms?
They can go on, I'm having a website built right now, by the way. I know I'm way behind the curve here, but you can go on probably the Toto website, or you can follow along on, I do Instagram and TikTok.
David, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I really want to thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, David Paich.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. And I just want to say how grateful we are to all the fans and friends and family out there. We couldn't have done it without you. Toto's very blessed, and we count our blessings every day. And we love our fans, and God bless all of you.
Well, and I know they love you too. So you mentioned Eastman School of Music. Are you going to be going to Rochester at all when you for that, or are you doing it?
I won't be going for that, but I may end up visiting Rochester School of Music sometime next year to play a little something.
The reason why I ask is I went to undergrad in Rochester and actually, believe it or not, lived in an apartment on East Avenue when I was there, right up the street, literally right up the street from the college. And there are a couple of things you need to try out if you go to Rochester. One of them is something called a garbage plate at Nick Tahoe's. It's one of those things. It's called the garbage plate, but it is fantastic. Another thing is Abbott's Custard. It's an ice cream place, but it's actually custard. Rochester's an interesting. Yeah, Rochester's an interesting season. They only have not interesting season. It's an interesting town. They only have 3 seasons: winter, spring, and road repair. But but they have some fantastic food that if you know where to go. Right. And it's one of those things but the garbage plate and Abbott's Custard, those are kind of the 2 big things. And Sal's Birdland, if you're into chicken wings, those are the things. But if you go, those are the places. I
hope you're not winding me up, and I'm going to go in there and say I want the garbage plate.
No.
Garbage.
Okay.
On there.
The garbage plate is one of those things. It's kind of like, you know how there's a certain people who go get the Waffle House becomes attractive at a certain time of the night.
Yeah, it's like meet and three in Nashville. You know, they call it.
So what the garbage plate is they take home fries, which is basically the chopped up potatoes and onions, then they grill those. They take fresh macaroni salad, mayonnaise kind, not vinegar type. They put them side by side. They then take 2 hot dogs, slice them down the middle, and do them butterflied, grill them butterflied, throw them on there, throw some chopped onions, and then throw kind of a spicy meat gravy on it, some spicy mustard, and it's all on top of everything. And you'd go, oh my God, this is going to destroy me. And then you taste it, and you go like, okay. And it becomes like a White Castle hamburger where you have it and you go, wait a minute, it's so bad that it's good, but it's actually great. And then you'll crave it from time to time. Trust me on this. Yeah, right. If you have it the first time, you'll order it online and have them ship it to you like once every 6 months. It's one of those.
You're making me hungry. You're making me hungry right now.
There you go. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. A special thanks to David Paich of Toto for joining us once again. Closing out tonight's show is David Paich with his new single, Will Belong to You. Stay safe, everyone.
Think of you. I've been reaching out, but there is no reply. Why? Give me a sign that I am on your mind. Don't lie. Don't know if I can live without you. Hoping you call me one more something I said that hurt you deep inside. Give me a chance, let's talk it over. Don't leave me hanging.